Hey, it's Form Check Friday. Let's do it. Hey, welcome back to another Form Check Friday. I'm Paul. We are back here in Idaho. I've got my home studio. I feel comfortable again, and I'm really excited to be back with you guys doing some form checks. Quick announcement. I threw up on Reddit the other day. Someone mentioned wanting to do a spring, summer fat loss challenge like we did the fall fat loss challenge. So I put a post up asking if anyone was interested, and it seems like we've got a few takers. So I'm going to think about that for a little bit, but keep an eye on the Reddit, and it seems like we might do a group spring, summer shred, so we all look good with our shirts off heading into summer. So we'll get that going, and I'll post about it when it's time. In the meantime, let's get into your form checks for today. Thank you guys all for submitting. As you know, I have not seen any of these, so we are going to do this all together. And there's Dana White. Let's see, we got Dick first. So we've been working on Dick's deadlift, and let's see what he has to say. Here's my light weak deadlift. Homework was to set my back harder and hold before I pull. Yes, breathe, squeeze, pause, pull. This was the first set at 176 kilos. It always feels like you are setting harder and pausing longer when doing it than when watching it back. Yeah, it is. Yes, I agree. Everything feels different than it looks in the video. So, all right, let's take a look and see if Dick dialed in his deadlift. Dick dialed in his deadlift. All right. Here we go. And where's my play? But there we go. All right, let's kill the volume and take a look. All right. You look balanced. Oh, very nice. Yes. Yes. Try to get my... Okay. Pause, push. Dude. These are great. You got to rock back a little more. Okay. So you have this tendency over the course of the set to set up, see you're even more forward, which means good. Well, we'll watch the last one and then I'll chime in. Yeah. Okay. Good set. Very compared to where we started, where you were doing this crazy thing, setting up on your toes and then rocking back and that whole thing, and then rushing the pause, so not giving yourself time to set your back. Much better. Like, we're like 99% of the way there. So the only thing you have to watch out for is, because of that history of that pattern you sort of got used to of setting up on your toes and doing this big elaborate rocking back motion, that's still in there a little bit. And so the first rep you set up perfectly. And then from there you go back to just being a little bit on the toes, so that when you do the rocking back part, so in the first rep, you're starting balanced and then rocking back just a little bit onto the heels, which is what we want. And then when you repeat that, but start a little bit more on the toes, you're sort of not rocking back enough. Okay, so it feels like you are, but you're still a little bit more forward than you should be. So all you have to do is make sure that between each rep, you sort of treat it like the first rep. Okay, so we'll watch this again. And just when you're setting up and you get ready, pay attention to the pressure on your foot. Because look, your weight is, your hips are a little bit further back than they're going to be later in the set. So you just set a little shift, come straight up the legs, beautiful. And now, see, now your hips are a little higher and you're a little bit more forward. So you're going to rock back, but you sort of rock back to the starting point of the first rep before you rocked back to the correct position. And now we're getting a little bit more forward with each rep. Now you can see it start to swing away from your shins. a tiny bit because you're setting up on your toes too much. So if we compare where your hips are there to where they are here, you'll notice they're a little lower here because you're already back, and then you drop them a little lower, which is the correct thing to do. If we jump to later in the set, now the hips are up a little bit higher. So you're starting with them higher and then rocking back to the correct position to start the rep, and then from there you should rock back even more. I'm kind of tripping over my words here, but you get the idea, okay? So just know that that's your habit, is as you progress through the set, you set the bar down and then you put a little bit more weight on your toes, versus when you walk up to the bar fresh and you're starting that first rep, the very first setup, you're perfect, okay? So just when you do that first rep, take a moment to notice the pressure on your foot, and then every rep after that, make sure you get back a little bit before you get back, set your back and pull, okay? But these look fantastic, man. Like, great job. I just want to see that first one again because it's just real nice. Beautiful, beautiful setup, man. And as you go through the set, you're going to notice your back unlocks a little bit as you get tired. It's not egregious. I'm not that worried about it. The important thing is it doesn't continue to round as you're doing the deadlift. In other words, you might see it flex a little bit as it comes up off the ground and then stop, and you just sort of hold that position for the rest of the rep. That's okay. Ideally, you could lock it and hold it the whole time, but at any heavy weight, most people are going to see a little bit of lumbar flexion when they start the pull. It really becomes an issue if it continues to round. So you don't have that problem. I'm not worried about it. These are fantastic. Great work. Keep it up. And I don't know, maybe we should take a look at your squat again, my man. All right. Good to see you. As always, let's move on to our next guy. Happy Life. It's a pleasant name. Okay. Back again with a set of deadlifts. Last time I posted, my work sets were 320 pounds and I could do a maximum of 4 reps. You pointed out that my weight was on my toes, causing the bar to swing away from the legs. You recommended I shift more weight to my heels and drag the bar at my legs. You also suggested I push my knees out more into my elbows on the setup. Yes. Following the intermediate B workout template, and here is this week's heavy work set of 350. Thanks for all your help, Jack. All right, Jack. Let's take a look. All right, let me kill our volume here. And we'll watch Jack. Wait, I gotta see the setup. Let's go back. What are we doing? Okay. Okay. All right, let's watch a few of these. Okay, you've got a little jerking in there off the floor. You notice how there's a little jerking motion as you pick the weight up or as you start the push. Yeah. So we've talked about that quite a bit. All right, there's a lot going on here, Jack. You got 350, so that's good. So this setup is, you're already, well, let's watch this again. So your weight's a little forward here, and then you're going to drop your butt instead of, so you bumped it. If you watch your shins when you nudged it, and then you bumped the bar. When you dropped your butt, the shins pushed the bar forward of the midfoot, and then from that position in front of the midfoot, you started to pick it up. So all your weight is going this way. The bar's swinging off. You can see you're headed that direction, okay? And this is all an issue with if understanding rocking back on the heels versus lowering the hips. Okay. So part of this is stemming from the setup. In the pattern for setting up your deadlift is to step up to the bar, put the middle of your foot directly underneath the bar so that when you look down standing straight up, you see about an inch of space between your shin and the barbell, and you kind of have to peek from the side. And then you keep your knees as straight and locked as you can. It depends on your flexibility, but you want straight knees, so locked knees, and then you're going to reach down and grab the bar with your knees as extended as possible, right? Get your straps going, and then you drop your shins to the bar. Okay, so when you reach down and grab the bar, you want your legs as straight as they can be. The shins shouldn't be touching the bar. Once you have your grip, you're going to bend your knees until the shins touch the bar, and as soon as they touch, you stop, and that tells you exactly how high your hips need to be for that first rep. So you're already starting this sort of squatting down already. So you don't even have your hands on the bar, your knees are already bent, right? So you don't have a good gauge of where the correct hip height is for you. So, and then you squat down even more, you push the bar forward to the middle of the foot, your weight's forward. This is the key, okay? So when I say I want 60% of your weight back on your heels for the deadlift, like all the other lifts, we want even distribution of pressure across the surface of the foot so that we get middle of the foot. In the deadlift, we want a little bit more weight back on the heels. And so to do that, you're going to rock back on the heels a little bit before you set your back and pick the weight up. But a lot of people confuse shifting the weight back on the heels with bending the knees more and dropping the butt. Okay, so if you're here, rocking back on the heels will look like this. It's just a very subtle change in pressure from middle of the foot back to the heels. But it's not this, okay? So the back angle doesn't really change. If you drop your butt and close the knee angle, you're gonna bump the bar forward, right? So all that work doing the setup procedure is pointless because you just move the bar, right? The point is you put the bar right over the middle of your foot and then you leave it there and you adjust your body in a way that it stays directly over the middle of the foot. Okay, so now we got the bar forward to the middle of the foot, you're dropping your hips, and then you raised them back up, but you're gonna drop them again and your shins are gonna push the bar forward. So you kicked it right there, now it's forward even more, and now you're gonna try and pull it, right? And your arms weren't tight. So this is the jerking part. You notice how everything kind of snaps into tension as you start to pull? Right? This is, even though you're squatting too much, I need your hips up a little higher. The arms should be held in rigid extent, like the bar should be hanging from your arms almost, like so tight that the weight's almost levitating off the ground. That means you pulled all the slack out of the bar. Okay, but in your case, you haven't really done that. The weight isn't heavy in your hands, and we know that because as you start to pull, we're gonna see everything kind of snap into tension like that. And that, of course, that final bit of elbow extension that should have been established before you tried to pick the weight up, everything snaps into tension, and that's going to cause your back, that jerking, that pulling down on the arm is going to cause your back to round. So you're doing all this hard work of trying to keep your back rigid and extended, and then because you didn't pull the slack out of the bar, as soon as it grabs, right, it's gonna yank your back out of extension. Okay, so again, the analogy that we use all the time is trying to tow a car. If I hook a chain up from your, what is that, a Lexus, to the back of my truck, right, and that chain's loose, and then I just floor it, and that chain snaps into tension, that's not gonna be good. It's gonna yank the bumper off your bar, the fender off your bar, or the bumper off my, whatever. What we want, if I'm going to tow your car, is to hook them up and then ease my car out so that the line it's taut. There's tension across that line, and then we ease the car forward, and we don't get that jerking. Okay, so that's what's happening here in your case. You got you're loose when you initiate the pull, and that last little bit of extension right there is going to cause things to, it's going to pull your back out of extension, right? So we got to clean up a couple things here. So despite your best effort to set your back, that the subtle bend in the elbows, see that? You're just that little, it's almost imperceptible, but you can see the effect of it when we pause it right here and your back's round, okay? So let's talk about how we're gonna fix these. The hips need to be higher than you want them, okay? So in your case, that's probably too low. So again, the setup procedure is you're gonna walk up to the bar, put your feet under the bar so that the bar's directly over the middle of your foot, keep your legs straight, then with legs straight, reach down and grab the bar, okay? Keep the legs as straight as you can. Once you've got your grip on the bar and you haven't moved it, you're gonna bend your knees until they make contact with the metal, okay? Till your shins touch the bar and then stop. And that's the correct hip height. It's gonna be higher than you want them, right? So that's too low, right? They're gonna come back up before the bar leaves the ground. See? If I slow this down for you, and we watch when the plates actually leave the ground and where your hips are, see, that's where they leave the ground. So notice how high your hips are right now, even though you're a little bit forward. If your weight was shifted back a little bit, this would be perfect. But this is the hip height you need. And the way that you can tell that is in between reps, right? You set the bar down, you roll it back to your shins, you get your weight balanced with a little bit more weight on the back, on the heels, and then you push your hips up until you feel tension behind the knees here, till you feel a grab where on the hamstrings, where the hamstrings insert, okay? Right behind the knees. When you feel that tension, that's where the hips should be. That's their height. If you don't feel that tension on the hamstrings, your hips are too low. You dropped your butt. You're trying to squat your deadlift and will inevitably push the bar forward. Okay? So this is the hip height you're going to need. And then we just have to fix your weight distribution. So, because again, everything's going forward. So from here, let's just walk through a rep. Okay, you set it down right now. Notice that you're forward, right? So the move right here is push your hips up till you feel the tension behind your hamstrings, or excuse me, behind your knees in the hamstrings. So push your butt back up when you feel it grab, right? Then you're going to you're going to rock your weight back onto your heels and you're going to roll the bar back to your shins. Okay? Because right now you're forward. So, right? So now it's becoming more of a squat. So if we go back, doing a bad job walking you through this. Okay. So here we are. We got to get the hips back up. Okay. And they're pretty close right here, but push them up. And then it's very unlikely that when you put the bar down, you're going to put it directly back over the middle of your foot. Most people, when they just drop a heavy deadlift, put it a little bit forward. Okay. So that's why the plates are round. So we got to roll it back over to the middle of the foot. When you follow that deadlift procedure for the first rep, it puts you in the correct position. But after rep number 1, you're not going to stand up and go through those steps again, right? So you set it down and you're likely going to set it a little bit forward of the midfoot. So again, we have to roll it back before you try and pull it, or it's just going to progressively creep more forward with every rep. Okay, so you set it down, you get your butt back up in the air. That will pull the shins back a little bit as the knees extend and you lift your hips up, and then you're going to rock your weight back. Get your weight off your toes so that there's some pressure on your heels. You will see there's a distance, or a gap between the barbell where you put it down and now your correct balanced start position. So you've got to roll the bar back to your shins. Okay. Then you're going to go through the launch procedure, which is breathe, squeeze, pause, pull. Take a breath, squeeze your chest up, pause for a second, and then pull or push the floor away, however you want to think about it. Okay. But that doesn't start until you're balanced or you've got a little bit of weight back on your heels and like everything's set, then, and the bar's touching your shins. That's the part I'm missing, okay? So hips up in the air, rock back, roll the bar back to your shins. Okay, this is it. Now I'm gonna go. Breathe, squeeze, pause, pull. Now, the squeeze part, when you squeeze your chest up, you do not drop your butt, okay? You leave your hips high so that you're feeling that tension behind the knees, and you just squeeze your chest up, okay? You're just trying to arch this up this way and this up this way so that your back turns into kind of like a U shape. That's the goal. But it does not involve closing this knee angle, all right? This stays here. Your butt stays high, right? And again, it's not dropping the butt. It's just shifting the pressure back to the heels. So let's watch this from here. Okay, so that's, now you're just squatting it. You're turning it into a squat. We talked about this. Okay, so the final piece here is you're gonna, when you set your back, when you squeeze your chest up, you're also gonna pull up, right? You're gonna lift up on the bar just a little bit to pull the slack out. Now you have bumper plates here, so they're probably not gonna make a lot of noise, but if you had iron plates, when you pull up on the bar, and again, not dropping the butt, you just kind of, as you squeeze your chest up, you just lift your chest a little bit. Okay, you just like a little bit of hip extension, tiny bit, and you'll feel the elbows lock into tension. So like there's tons of tension on the arms. It feels like the plates are almost going to levitate. Okay, and if you had iron plates when you did that, you would hear a little tap as the outer diameter of the bar sleeve taps into the inner diameter of the hole in the middle of the plate. You just hear a little click. Okay, when you hear that click, you know you're tight, and then you just push off the ground. In your case, if we had iron plates on here, you're actually gonna hear that click as the bar leaves the ground, right? If you hear a click, that tapping, as the plates come off the ground, your arms weren't tight. You didn't pull the slack out of the bar. You want to hear that little tap when you squeeze your chest up. So you rock back. Now we're going to breathe, squeeze, and you'll hear click, right? Pause. And then when you push the bar off the ground, it's silent. It shouldn't make any noise. You shouldn't hear any tapping because you already pulled all the slack out of the bar. Okay? So those are the things to work on, right? And that's why your back's rounding and you're getting forward. So I recommend, if you want a little reminder of the 5-step setup procedure, if you go to hornstrength.com/videos here and you look up how to deadlift. On this page, you will find my notes, right? But also the starting strength, learning to deadlift explanation video walks you through the 5 steps perfectly, just as a reminder. And you'll hear Rip say over and over again, not to drop your butt, okay? So that's it. Those are the things that you got to work on. Just making sure that you're in the correct starting position with your weight back, your hips where they need to be before you breathe, squeeze, pause, pull. And then when you squeeze, make sure that you pull the slack out of the bar, okay? That the arms are locked, the elbows are locked in tension, and the weight is like hanging from your arms basically, okay? And then it's just ever increasing tension, right? So when you take your breath and squeeze your chest up, all the steps, we're just building and building and building tension. It never relaxes. We never lose tension. It's just more ever increasing tension until the bar comes off the ground. If there's ever a gap in your procedure where the tension lessens and then you feel it again, you made a mistake. It should be ever increasing tension, okay? So work on that stuff, watch those videos, and post up another one, and let's take a look, man. Okay, thank you for the submission. Let's keep going. What do we got here? Okay, flat procedure. Let's see. Hey, Paul, this is a failed attempt at 160 by 6 after getting 160 by 5 2 weeks prior. I've been doing a back off set of as many reps as possible with 85% with little progress the past few weeks. Maybe I just need more volume on the bench press. Okay, you're doing 6s, so you're probably doing the Radically Simple Muscle program. I don't know. Oh, I know what this is. Okay, this is a program that we talked about. All right, let's take a look at Greg. Very tight lower body, which is good. I mean, you're locked in there, man. And yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, your butt came up. Oh, man. Okay. All right. So let's see. I think first of all, I think your grip's a little wide. Your forearms are kind of at an angle, and we want them, you can see here, this angle. That's a bad line, but like that. So I think your grip is a little wide. I want more of this. So I might come in whatever finger you've got on whatever mark, I might bring it in like an inch or like a finger width and just see if you can get a little bit more perpendicular at the bottom. Lower body looks good. I mean, you're super tight. You're keeping your scapula retracted the whole time. You don't even really have to reset it. You got to watch the hips though, pushing your butt up. So ideally what we want in the bench press is there's a very common thing that happens with the bench where the quad, as you push the weight off your chest, you also push with your quads. And really what I want is your quads to be pushing the whole time. So you've got your feet walked back pretty far. I'm assuming you can't get them back any further, but ideally we want, you walk your feet back till your heels lift up off the ground about an inch, right? And then you jack them down, and that puts that tension on the quads. And we want to keep that the whole time rather than this sort of, you're bringing the bar down and then as you push, you drive with the quads. So it's like there's this ebb and flow in quad tension. And what I just want that thing tucked in and locked the whole time. So that you get tight, you're pushing, and then when you take it out of the rack and you're holding it, like the tension from your shoulder blades, down through your quads to your feet, it's just rigid the whole time. Okay. And then you're just moving your elbows up and down versus like relaxing and then relaxing, because that's when your butt's going to come off the bench. So you might be flexible enough to, get your feet. The trick I've found is just pulling your feet back as far as you possibly can underneath you. And then again, the heels lift up an inch, wherever that is, and then wedge them down. And it should be really uncomfortable in the quads. You should feel that tension. But if you really get them tucked in there, like you can't really, you're just pushing the whole time, and it sort of solves that problem. So I would fix the grip, see if you can get your legs, your feet back even further. As far as the form, I mean, it looks, it's getting heavy there, but this is probably a programming issue. Yeah, I mean, you look, let's see, I want to see how long you're taking in between. Yeah, you're kind of rushing a little bit from one rep to the next. And, with locked elbows at the top, you can sit here all day. So I want you to make sure that you've fully taken your breath before you start lowering the weight. Okay. So you're locked out, you take a breath and then down and up. In your case, you're kind of still breathing, you've already started the rep while you're still finishing your breath. So just take an extra, you can, like I said, you can sit there all day in the lockout for the bench press because your joints are locked. So it's not going to sap that much energy, and it'll set, if you're real tight with the breath and the legs, everything locked in and tight, and then you're just moving the elbows, it's going to make the lift more efficient. So those are kind of minor details. Aside from that, I think you're good. Just take a little bit longer, finish your breath. Then, in that pause, you're going to take your full breath, make sure your scapula, your shoulders are pulled back, and make sure that if you've let go of any of that leg drive, you re-engage the legs. And then it's just elbows up and down. Everything's tight. You want to use that break in between reps to reset that. So I think failed attempt so you got 2 weeks prior. So we did 160 by 5, 160 by 6. So you're making progress. I've been doing back offsets past few weeks. So you might need more volume. And in that case, you might you could do a back offset at 90% and then a back offset at 85%. So just add a back offset between 160 and whatever you're using for 85%, right? I'm not going to do the math, but, or you could try adding a second back offset at 85%. So just, give it a shot, add a little bit more volume, and then see what happens next week. And whenever your heavy bench day is up again. And if you fixed it, then you can either go back to your regular one back offset until you get stuck again, or you can just stick with the 3 sets. But if I were you, I think I might try, I think you're trying to get to 7. So I think I might try 160 for 5 to 7, and then the first back offset at 90%, and then the second back offset at 85%, and then just watch what happens. Hopefully that's enough volume to nudge it, and that's how you program. So, but yeah, minor tweaks, looks good overall, very tight, and just gotta dial it in a little bit. But thanks for the post, man. All right, moving on. Hi, Paul. Finally getting around to getting another squat form check video up. We only had time for a warm up, but here it is. Something I noticed, not seen in this video, is that sometimes my bar goes diagonal to the ground, i.e. one side is higher than the other. I only know this if someone took a picture and told me. I'm not conscious of it. Any ideas what may be causing this? So I can be more aware. This is very common. I have the same issue. If I put the bar where I think it should go on my back, it's crooked every time. Okay. And it's just shoulder asymmetry. I've had shoulder surgeries. They're not even, I guess, or it could, some people, we all have little asymmetries, and some guys, you can see it on the bar. So what you want to do is have someone stand behind you just, you can video it, but just put it higher on one side, right? So I always, when I'm setting up for my squat, I always make it like I get under and put it where I want it, and then I nudge it up on my right. So it always feels a little bit higher on my right side. And when I look at videos or when I have people stand behind me, they tell me that looks correct. So, what's going on here with, okay. Video's a little choppy today, guys. Sorry about that. So you just put a little bit higher on one side and you'll be good. And it's going to feel weird, so that's why it helps to have someone like that's correct. But, over time, it feels wrong now if I put it where I think is even. So it now I've been doing it for so many years that having it a little higher on my right shoulder just feels better. So, but it's not a problem. It's no big deal. If you're twisting or something, you got to think about twisting the other way, but it just sounds like a very common asymmetry. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Okay, let's take a look. Okay. All right, man. You're going to fall backwards. Okay, we got a lot to talk about here. Let's see. Let's go back. This is a warm-up test. This looks way too heavy for a warm-up, my man. All right, let me watch this again. So the bar looks a little too high on your back. So it looks like it's in a high bar position. That is all your weight's back on your heels. You're looking straight ahead, maybe up even. Your depth is yeah, so you're totally back on your heels right now. Okay? So this is where your knee is. Your toe's right here. When this is correct, your knee is going to be a lot closer to in line with your toe. Okay? And then I'm going to pause this at the bottom, which is right about here. So this is your 6 inches high. We need you down kind of here. So this crease right here should be below this line. Okay. If I put a marble on your foot right here, that marble is going towards your knee. Okay. And when you are balanced at the bottom of a squat, that marble should roll back towards your hip. Okay. So, you're literally about to fall over right now because you're just sitting back so much. So, let's see. And then coming up, just killing your hip drive, lifting the chest. This is a lot. We got a lot of work to do here. It's been way too long. We should not have waited this long to post a form check. Also, your warm-up should not be this heavy. Like, this is way too heavy for a warm-up. So you notice how you're just lifting your chest right away. Like, you just start standing up and opening up your hips. Okay. Yeah. All right. There's a little bit too much here to break down in a Form Check Friday video because we got to rebuild your squat. It's like, I'm glad that you posted this. So I'm trying to, like, I'm here to help. I'm not trying to just rip your squat apart, but we got a lot to fix. So what I want you to do is look at hornstrength.com/videos. Okay. Go to the how to squat, watch the starting strength video, read the notes. You can watch, well, that's just a demo of me, but watch this starting strength video of how to squat because it walks you through it. And then I want you to practice pause squats. Okay. So down here under legs, pause squats. You need to learn what the bottom position feels like, the correct balanced bottom position. So watch that video on YouTube. All the directions are in the description for YouTube. You're going to go down to the bottom and pause, and you're going to ask yourself some questions, right? Let me just show you. Down here in the video description, this is what we're doing. Okay, so read that, and I want you to practice those with light weight. I mean, we're going to have to go back to like empty bar. You need a little bit of weight on there, but your bottom position is, let me see if I can find what I'm looking for here. Where's my squat? Well, let's see. We can look at my man Josh, who I always use. This is what I think is one of the best squats. Josh is just a technician. But look at how deep he's getting. Look at how leaned over he is. Look at where his knee is relative to his toe, right? His upper back, his hip drive. Your squat should look like this. Okay, that's my goal. It's for my squat to look like this. So, but this is your model. It should look like that. You've got to make it look like that. And right now, we are a ways off, okay? So a lot of it has to do with the bars too high on your back. So you're going to be too upright. You're not setting the knees forward before sitting back. So your balance, like if I had you pause down here and ask you one of the questions in the pause squat thing, where is the weight on your foot? You're going to be like, it's on my heels because you're just sitting back so much. So, go through that video, watch it again, practice pause squats. When you think you have a squat that looks like, the video. Looks like Josh, looks like whoever's lifting in the starting strength video. That's what your bottom position looks like. I don't care how heavy it is. I want to see that. Okay, so that's the post I want to see, is you balanced at the bottom with what you think is the correct bottom position that looks like when you open up the video and you compare it to your video, they look as close as you can get them. Okay, and let's go from there, because there's a lot of pieces missing here that we need to, like, if this would be a case where if you, I don't know where you live, but if you are close to a coach, like a starting strength coach, or, you know, I mean, you can look at the starting strength coaching directory and see if there's someone nearby, or if you're taking a trip like for business or something and you can find one. Like, getting one in-person session with a coach would be a good call for you, because with the Form Check Friday thing, anything I'm doing remotely is, you know, we're kind of tweaking, but getting the fundamental understanding of the movement when it's not clicking after watching some of this stuff, because I know you've been trying to do this for a while and watching videos and stuff like that. It just getting, if I'm a coach, if I get my hands on you, we can accomplish a tremendous amount in a very short amount of time, just by being in the same room and being able to, like, grab you and manipulate you and be like, no, here, this is the bottom. This is where the bar goes. This is where your hands go. So I would look in to see if you can find a coach who knows how to coach a low bar back squat and just do a session, because it'll go a lot faster and get you back on track way faster than I'm going to be able to do remotely here. So I'm not trying to punt on this, but this is a tough case. And and feel free to message me. I can recommend someone if there's anyone in your area. Again, I don't know where you guys are. But you can message me on Reddit or wherever, and hopefully I can put you in touch with someone who can, you know, put their hands on you. So in the meantime, don't give up, keep working on it. Take weight off the bar. You got to go back down quite a bit, because missing those 6 inches of depth, those muscles aren't getting trained, right? That portion of those muscle fibers that are, you know, that you're not training them because you're not getting deep enough. So that's going to be your limiting factor. You might eventually get 300 pounds on the bar, but, you know, I'm going to have to reset you, because we've got to get you all the way down so that we can get all of the muscle mass strong. Okay. So continuing to pile weight on the bar and chase PRs right now is not the move, because it's going to be all for naught. That missing muscle that you're not training at the bottom is it's going to be the limit. It's the weak link in the chain. So, all right, man, work on that. Message me if you want to, or, and let's work on those pause squats and just really drill that bottom position. And let's see what you can do. Let's see how close you can get before we tackle the next part of this, and post it up, and we'll just keep going. So, all right, I want to see it. I'm not giving up on you, man. We're going to get this. But let's start there, okay? All right, last one, Miguel. My man Miguel is back. There we go, okay. Hi, Paul, it'd be great if you could check my last top set of deadlifts. I'm working on my leg drive mostly, and try not to shoot my hips. All right, Miguel, let's take another look. See, this is, I'm hoping that we're gonna get the lever belt flare at the end, where you just snap it off. Okay. Oh. Okay. Good Lord, how many are you doing? There it is. There it is. Thank you. I got it. Okay. My man, like, God, I love you. Okay. Your top set of okay, I'm working on leg drive, trying to not shoot my hips. So you're okay. Sorry, man. I like the last one that I checked of you, I like ripped it apart because it's just, but I know that you're working with a coach and he's having you do certain things and he's a strong guy and a competitor. So like do what your coach says. But we went through and I was like, you're dropping hips too low. You're going too fast. You're rocking back. You got all your weight on your heels. I remember that form check of the last one. This is the same. You're doing the same thing that we talked about last time. So dropping your butt, your weight's back. Like look at your toes. If we watch your toes, we can see your toes like breaking contact with the ground. You're racing through this. So not giving yourself a chance to reset fully. And I know you this is a long set, but you've got way too much weight back on the heels here. And you're just rushing through it. So I don't really know what to say. But you see that? Like the bar's going like way back like this because you have first of all, you're wearing flats, which is okay. But the reason that we have people shift back is because all my lifters wear they wear their lifting shoes, which I prefer to flats, but there's nothing wrong with wearing flats. You just have to, if you rock back too much with flats, you're going to be way too far back on your heels and you're going to have a hard time with that leg drive because your knees are extending. You end up doing hip extension a little too early. I mean, this is the same thing we did last time where you're dropping your butt and I'm sure we did this, but look at how high your butt, from where you started. Let's see. You're down there. Look at your toe. Your toe is like, you're going to fall over. If you let go of that bar, you're going to fall over. You're basically in a squat. Your shins are like vertical. So it's really hard to get that leg drive when you've got like vertical shins. Okay. So I want this whole thing, like you're here like this, and I want you here like this. Hips higher, a little bit more weight midfoot, like not on the toes, but off the heels that much. Hips up higher in the air. And then from that balanced position, when you push, the bar will just come up off the ground. But now, like, see, the hips have to come up to there, this is where I want you, right? Like, this is where you should start the rep. Right there, right in the position where the plates come off the ground, like we talked about last time. I want you in that position, calmer, slow down, get here, get your body here, okay? And then breathe, squeeze, pause, pull. That's, this is the same advice that I gave you last time. And it's just, you're racing through it. I don't know when you're taking your breath, when you're setting your back. I feel like you're trolling me. You're just like, here's the same video, basically. And what do you think? And it's like, well, it's exactly what I said last time. All the same things are there. So, it was a hell of a lot of deadlifts, and my thing, like, the things I'm going to say, everything I said in the last one. So there's no point really going over it again, other than it's just good to see you. And I do like watching you lift because it's just entertaining, man. And, it's not nothing. And we got the belt flare at the end. Let's appreciate that. This is what I'm going to take. Boom. There it is. All right, man. I don't know. Like, I love that you posted it, and I'm happy to see it. And but my advice is going to be the same as it was last time. And if you've got to decide what's right for you. Doesn't matter to me. I'm just trying to help you smooth it out and make it more predictable, less erratic, more efficient. So that you have gas at the end, or for when you're doing a heavy set, it's like robotic and methodical. But You're going to do you, and I don't know what to say. All right. That's a good way to end this one, man. That was entertaining. And I love you, brother. So thank you. Thank you for that one. All right, guys. This was a little bit rough today. I'm sorry. I got very little sleep last night, and I'm just, it's been a weird week. So thanks for bearing with me. I'm going to see if I can take a nap and then edit this and get it up. And hopefully I'll get my schedule back on track next time, and we'll do it all again. But thank you, as always, for participating and being a part of this. And I look forward to doing it every week. So we will do it again next week. And, go out there, work on your lifts, and have a great weekend. I'll see you guys soon.